I've spent nearly 20 years building custom furniture in my workshop on the edge of town. Every machine, every workbench, and every tool inside represented years of hard work. My property was clearly marked with large private property, no parking signs, and a steel gate protected the entrance. Most people respected it. One person didn't. Everyone in the neighborhood knew her as Karen. Karen believed every rule applied to everyone except herself. She regularly parked wherever she wanted, complained about other people's property, and acted as though the entire neighborhood existed for her convenience. I'd ignored her for months, until one Friday afternoon. I was loading my truck with supplies because I had a 3-day woodworking expo in another city. Before leaving, I stopped by the workshop to lock everything up. That's when I froze. A shiny white luxury SUV was sitting inside my workshop entrance, blocking the main bay door. Somehow Karen had waited until my gate was open while I unloaded lumber, then driven straight inside and parked. She stepped out carrying shopping bags as if nothing was wrong. "Excuse me," I said calmly. "You're on private property." She barely looked at me. "I'll only be a little while." "A little while isn't acceptable. Please move your SUV." She shrugged. "You have plenty of room." "No, I don't." She smiled confidently. "If you need out, you can wait." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I reminded her that she was trespassing. She laughed. "Who's going to stop me?" At that moment, I realized arguing wasn't going anywhere. I checked my watch. I had to leave within 30 minutes, or I'd miss the expo registration. So I simply nodded. "All right." She smirked, convinced she'd won. I closed the workshop, locked every door, shut the security gate, and drove away. What Karen didn't realize was that her SUV was now completely trapped inside my fenced commercial property. The only exit required my electronic gate, and I had just left town. About 4 hours later, my phone started buzzing. "Karen." I ignored it. Then another call. Then another. Soon my voicemail filled up. "Where are you?" "You locked my car inside." "This is illegal. You need to come back immediately." I smiled. For the next 3 days, I attended seminars, met clients, and enjoyed the woodworking expo. Meanwhile, my phone exploded with angry messages. Karen even texted that she had called the police. That didn't worry me at all, because I had already informed the local police department before leaving that an unauthorized vehicle had entered my secured property while I was away. I also emailed them timestamps from my security cameras. Everything was documented. On Saturday evening, a police officer left me a voicemail. He explained they had spoken with Karen. After reviewing the video, they confirmed she had entered private property without permission. Since there was no emergency, they couldn't force entry or order me to interrupt my trip. Karen would have to wait until I returned. Apparently, she wasn't happy about that. Neighbors later told me she stood outside my gate several times arguing with officers, insisting the workshop should be open just for her. Every time, they gave her the same answer: private property. Monday afternoon, I finally drove home. Karen was already waiting outside the gate. The moment she saw my truck, she stormed over. "You kept my SUV hostage for 3 days." I calmly unlocked the gate. "No, you parked it on my property without permission." She demanded compensation for ride shares, misappointments, and hotel costs. I simply pointed toward one of my security cameras. "Everything's recorded." She suddenly became much quieter. We walked inside. Her SUV sat exactly where she'd left it, untouched. No scratches, no damage, no tickets. I opened the gate completely. "You're free to leave." She climbed into her SUV but wasn't finished arguing. "You owe me." I smiled politely. "I don't think so." Instead, I handed her an envelope. Inside was an invoice. It listed 3 days of unauthorized commercial parking, security monitoring, administrative processing, and trespassing cleanup. The total came to several $100s. Her face turned bright red. "You can't charge me." "I can certainly ask." She ripped the paper in half and threw it onto the ground. I quietly picked it up. "Thank you." A week later, I received notice that Karen had actually filed a small claims case against me. She demanded reimbursement for every expense she claimed during those 3 days. I wasn't worried. Court day finally arrived. The judge listened carefully to Karen's emotional story about how her vehicle had been trapped. Then it was my turn. I showed the security footage from multiple cameras. The video clearly showed Karen driving past 2 private property signs. It showed me asking her to move. It showed her refusing. It showed me leaving peacefully. Finally, it showed that nothing had prevented her from moving her SUV except her own decision to leave it there before I locked my